This entitled dad has a real attitude problem, and he's about to let everyone in this store know about it. But things get ugly when a retail worker bravely confronts him, and things turn physical. Happy birthday if today's your birthday, and on with the revamped show. So, small backstory before I make formal introductions. I'm a body piercer at a studio in the UK. Name shall remain anonymous. I've done the job for 6 years and had a rather intensive training for 2 years. This is relevant to the story, please remember this part. I have recently moved to this studio from my previous, as it was closer to home for me. In the cast, manager, literally G, he's the best manager and support a gal could ask for. Colleague, amazing gal. IC, innocent daughter who was getting her piercing, 13 years old. WM, wonderful mum, not the entitled parent. She was a godsend. ED, the aforementioned entitled parent who isn't worthy of an awesome nickname. Me, it's your boy, female piercer, relevant again. IC2, innocent older sister of the little girl, around my age. IC2F, the sister's friend. Absolute delight, not a big role but was present. Set stage 2 PM this very afternoon. So I had an incredibly busy day today. We go via a walk-in appointment service for our customers, which isn't an issue for anyone because they can choose a time which suits them. At this point, all but 3 slots were taken by pre-bookings throughout the day. In comes the most wonderful lady. IC, IC2, and IC2F, and ED. Now I clocked IC straight away and could tell she was nervous, so I approached her since I had a free 10 minutes. Note, the piercers are not supposed to be on the shop floor if we are not rotated in for it, but I could see she was pale and nervous, so I bent the rule a little. I spent the 10 minutes explaining everything to her, and her wonderful mum, who was more than happy that I took the time to explain to her and her daughter everything she needed to know, including letting IC choose her earrings. They happily booked in for the next appointment, which was 20 minutes after, and went for a hot chocolate. So if you haven't been scared away from boredom, here is the juicy part. The family arrived promptly for the appointment, and as per studio rules, I explained IC could have one other person with her. But since she was still nervous, I explained she could have 2. Big mistake. She asked if IC2 could come in. Second big mistake. We got into the room and I proceeded to wash my hands, glove, sanitize my workspace, which I do in front of customers, as well as after, and prepare her jewelry for the piercing. I clean her lobes, and her WM mentions that because of their community, Jehovah or Mormon, I didn't ask or want to pry out of respect. It's a massive thing to have piercings, and it needed to be perfect, and her father needed to agree since his say goes, which I smiled and made sure it was to the tiniest millimeter exact. In other words, it was 0.0001 precise. No other way of saying it was perfect. Wow, my gosh, it's perfect. I see, take a look in the mirror. What do you think, lovely? I like it. It's perfect, thank you. Shall we call your father in and see what he thinks? At this point, the WM smile had turned into a slight frown as she called him in. Cue ED and his delightful personality. ED puts his glasses on and looks at the individually. First mistake, you'll find out why shortly. They are not even. So if you stand here and look straight ahead at IC, you'll see that they are perfect. But they aren't straight. One is higher than the other. How many years have you done this? Because you clearly don't know what you're doing. I looked over at WM, who looked like she was going to cry. I did my best calm down hand gesture. I smile my best people smile. So I've been doing this since I was 17. I'm 23 now. With 2 years intensive training behind that as well. Piercing solo 4 years, training 2 years, so 6 in total. Look at it straight on, and remember that no one has symmetrical ears. Look at mine for example. One sticks out at the top, and the other one doesn't. One is always bigger than the other. So to get them perfect from this angle, one needs to be higher than the other. And when the earrings are in the piercing, you will see what I mean. You don't know how to do your job. I want to speak to your manager. In my day, we never did all this training. We did it right the first time. But you clearly know what you're doing even though this isn't a feminine job. So just shut up and do it. I smile. What I'm going to do is book another slot because it's 3 PM and I have another appointment. I'll be back shortly to take extra time with IC. I book off another appointment and my colleague pulls the "Are you okay?" face. I smile and walk back to my studio. I return to the room and politely ask ED to leave so I can do my job since I already asked IC2, WM and IC2F to stay. I finish the piercing and IC, WM, and IC2 are so ecstatic that WM asks for a photo to show their church. Absolutely. So after a few group photos courtesy of the friend, we exit the room to the scornful eye of ED, who just glared at me like a smug child. "I've spoken to your manager, you're in trouble!" Manager slightly stares at me for help. "So what do you think now that the jewelry is in?" "I suppose it'll do. You're the piercing expert, not me. Your manager is going to deal with you." I'm going to be bluntly honest, sir. I don't respect your attitude. I've been doing this for 6 years and I've never misplaced a piercing in my career. I went a whole year before I was able to touch a needle, let alone pierce someone. And to be quite frank, I'd like to see you do better. Unless you are a body piercer with more experience than me, I don't approve of your opinion. But let me finish please, sir. I don't approve of your opinion in my place of work when I've worked tirelessly every day for 6 years to build my reputation up. And when my day starts at 5 AM, I really don't think you have a say in my job. And saying it's too masculine a job, I pierce better than some of my best friends who are male piercers. I would appreciate you leaving my studio now. Your family are more than welcome to return, but you are not. Have a lovely day, sir. I'm going for a cigarette. Manager, aren't you going to reprimand this delinquent? Sir, she asked you to leave. I was on the shop floor and heard everything since you kept the door open. I trust my staff's judgment over yours. Entitled Dad had a shocked Pikachu face. The mum brought me a coffee to say thank you. I guess we never found out why the dad thought he was so entitled. Perhaps he had some experience in the past, or maybe he had some piercings himself, I don't know. But unless you have any particular reason to believe that that staff worker is incompetent at their job, why would you think that you know better than them? Why would you even open your mouth? You just end up embarrassing yourself. Not to mention you humiliate yourself in front of your family members. This is something that happened about a year ago when I still worked in retail, mostly at the cash registry. The store I worked at was a big type of store that sells almost everything, from food and drinks to clothes and even basic furniture. There was a family that unloaded a lot of things on the conveyor belt. Nothing unusual there. The family consisted of a short and silent woman, the mother most likely, who clearly was scared to even make eye contact with me. 2 kids of around 3 and 6 years old. Could be off on that. I'm not really good at guessing ages to be honest. And the father, the entitled dad, the main antagonist and the subject of this story. So, as usual, I'm scanning the products, which are all neatly put in boxes. So I have to take them out and put them on the other side one by one. The ED already gets annoyed here. Can't you just put those products back in the boxes after you scan them? Exactly how you found them? I'm sorry sir, this way I can be absolutely sure I don't skip or double scan anything. And normally we prefer our customers not to put products inside boxes like this, as it makes everything go slower. The only reason I'm not asking you to go back and take everything out of the boxes before putting them on the belt is because it's not too busy right now. Whatever, just do what you're being paid for and shut up. I shrug this off and continue scanning the products when I notice one of the kids is holding one of the toys that was in a promotion that day. Hey little guy, would you mind me scanning that toy a moment? So that your mommy and daddy can pay for it? The kid shakes his head and hugs the toy close. I'm looking at the mother at this moment as she's closer to the kid. Ma'am, can you please convince your child to let me scan that toy? Otherwise you can't take it with you. The mother looks away, seemingly nervous. Let him keep the toy. It's in a discount promotion anyway, so why do you need to care? Sir, the toy might be in a discount, but even free items need to be scanned. Otherwise you are stealing it. ED gets really annoyed at this point, lets out a sigh, reaches around his wife and snatches the toy from the kid, which starts to sob. I scan the toy and try and give it back to the child, but it only sobs louder. So ED snatches it out of my hand and literally throws it at his wife without a word. By this time I am very uneasy and continue to scan the products as quickly as possible, trying to keep my face in a smile. Part of me wanted to help the poor woman and her child, but I know as an employee I'm supposed to just smile and nod without getting into any personal business of customers. Then the beer arrives. The last item on the belt is 2 big crates of beer from a brand that has recently been added to the store. This means that when I scanned the crate, the register didn't pick it up as the barcode wasn't added in the system yet. Adding barcodes in the system took usually around 2 weeks. as it was an older system and it had to be done by people in the main office that's located in another country. The beer was new in the store since the day before this event, so I do what I normally have to do, and call up the manager for alcohol, so he can tell me how much the beer costs and I can manually input it. Every cash register has a phone for internal use, and every department manager carries a mobile internal phone on them. Why did you have to ask the price? Can't you read what that screen in front of you says, or are you dim? I'm sorry sir, the system doesn't know this brand of beer yet, as it's new since yesterday, so I have to manually input the price. We'll have to wait for the manager of alcohol to call back with the price. Wait, why don't you just put in the price of any other beer? Or even better, give it to me for free, as you've already been very rude to me. Me, perplexed. Excuse me? How have I been rude to you, sir? You refused to put my groceries back in the boxes, you pestered my child, tried to talk to my wife, and now you dare have me wait on this alcohol manager of yours so I can buy some freaking beer? By this time, ED is raising his voice, but he calms down when the phone rings and the manager tells me the price of the beer. Now, at this point, I have to also call the cash registry manager so they can confirm permission for this manual input with their badge. And upon knowing this, ED really loses himself. Do you mean to tell me that you're not even qualified to do this on your own? Are they hiring monkeys in these stores nowadays? The mother shrinks as ED starts yelling and swinging his arms around while ranting on. Do you even know who I am? I can get you fired for this. I know people in high places, and you don't want to mess with me. Just give me that beer for free. No, even better, give me all my groceries for free as a compensation to the way you've been treating me and my family. At this point, the children are crying and my colleagues and other shoppers are looking our way for a while already. I've been called names at that job before, but this was a very public display, and the man was also visibly getting violent with his gestures and the way he started to loom over the cash registry. Now keep in mind, I myself am a very short, slightly plump and definitely not strong woman, but I have learned not to show any signs of being intimidated. The fact that I didn't shrink away or anything seems to have ticked him off more as he starts to yell that I'm disrespectful, etc, etc. The cash registry manager arrives and asks what the problem is. Your employee doesn't do her job well and could easily be replaced by a dressed up baboon. That would look better too. Now I don't usually let insults about my appearance get to me, but due to how he yelled that, and a lot of people were looking, my face got beyond red at that point in pent up anger and held back tears. So if this is about the need of my badge, that is something every employee at the cash register needs. Our manual input of prices have to be confirmed by me or the other manager in order to avoid mistakes. The manager does the scan for confirmation but can't stay long as she was needed somewhere else. ED packs the boxes angrily in the trolley while muttering about incompetent and other things I don't immediately know how to translate to English, while I take a deep breath, thinking it is all over now. It was not. So that will be, insert number I don't remember, here, euros. Will you be paying cash, credit or bank card? Credit card! I set things up to pay with credit card when he gets his card refused. I'm sorry sir, your card is getting refused. Now listen here you, just because you don't like doing your job doesn't mean that I have to suffer. My credit card is just fine. I paid for gas with it earlier today. Sir, your card is getting refused by the system. It is nothing I can help. ED to his wife. You pay! His wife meekly pays for the groceries while ED, fuming, grabs one of the crates of beer, meaning to put it in the shopping trolley. But his hand slips or something, because it falls, and after a loud sound of crashing glass, the floor got covered with beer, and everything immediately smelled like it too. I hate the smell of beer or wine. It makes me nauseous. And this is the final drop for ED, as he starts screaming in an almost inhuman voice and incomprehensible, kicks the fallen crate, which makes another bottle fall out and break, pushes aside the trolley which gets close to falling over, and makes me gasp as the smallest kid was sitting in it. You know, one of those seats where the handle is? Both kids have been crying up until this point. Their father's outburst shocked them so much that they went silent, and people around are shaking their heads and murmuring to each other. ED actually ends up reaching over the cash registry, clearly going for my throat, when finally security arrives to escort the man out. The woman looks at her husband, who is getting almost dragged out of the stores as he isn't cooperative at all. The registry manager is back too by this point to see what's going on. I'm sorry for my husband. He gets like this when he doesn't have his beer in time. And we were supposed to buy some about 2 hours ago. Ma'am, maybe you need to seek some help. This isn't healthy for either of you or your kids. The mother with a weak smile. I know, but he is keeping us alive and I love him. After this, the mother walks off with the children and the groceries, and the manager gave me some break time in the break room. I lost my cool and cried for quite a while. Afterwards, I came to know that this man was already infamous in the store for being an aggressive alcoholic, and many attempts have been made by people in the store to try and help the mother and children by calling Child Protective Services. But the mother refuses help and the children don't dare admit that they're scared of their father. So, none of the services can help them. I get the feeling with this story that security should have been called a long time ago. I'm sure people have been banned from stores for a lot less than that. If his precious beer means so much to him, then perhaps the threat of not being able to buy any at all would at least mean he would pretend to be polite out in public. But you do have to feel sorry for the wife and kids in this situation. They'd have to put up with that all the time. Submit your story to be read on the channel at voiceyherestories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.